Welcome to Inspiring Insights, the live experience with Stephen DeSade. Coming up on today's show.
This has just been the most extraordinary experience of my entire life. And it's like you've just woken my soul up.
And if you want to create a really good community of care, be the number one carer in your community.
Thank you so much.
That was unbelievable. I felt that. Didn't you feel that, man?
I did feel it. I did feel that.
Oh my goodness, I wish I was in the same room because I'm a touchy-feely person and I just want to hug you, even though there's COVID.
What the heck is happening right now?
That was powerful. I actually have tears in my eyes. That's how good it was. So thank you.
I just don't understand how you have the ability to do that, dude. Like, people are talking and you're breaking out like charts and segments, and it's so enriching.
Okay. That's okay. That's mind blowing. Yeah.
Yes. Wow. My God.
I loved everything. I am deeply blessed and grateful. My life is forever changed.
Yes, I can.
Yes, you can.
I believe because I can
Yes, you
do
can.
all things
Absolutely.
through Christ. who gives me
Absolutely.
strength. I can.
Absolutely.
Oh, I've just never met anyone like you.
And boom, boom, everybody. And for some of you, kaboom, kaboom for some of you. Welcome, everybody. Welcome to Inspiring Insights, the live experience with Stephen DeSade. My name is Peter Clark of Red TV. And here is the reason why we're here. My counterpart right there, looking over there, all the way from Sydney, Australia. Stephen DeSade, how are you, my fine friend?
Good morning from tomorrow, everyone. I'm very well today, really well today. And I know this is a quick plug, but it's part of the message for today. Anthony Mullane, I think that's the correct one, Mullane from CUB Networking, who I'm joining next week, is watching. Hey, buddy, how are you? My first message to everyone is everything about seasonal abundance is about the relationship with people that come into the seasons of your life. And one of the seasons for me now is with Cub, and I'm looking forward to starting that. So it's not just a free plug. My message to you right now, who is in your life that you're adding value to and they're adding value to you? Who is it? Because whoever it is, embrace it. And the whole masterclass and tactic today is about that. I'm on it today, Pete. I'm in the mood.
I wasn't expecting all of that. Like you just.
I'm in the mood. I'm in the mood today. I'm in the mood today.
I'm excited for you. Well, we have some great guests today, as we always do. We always appreciate people who come and join us and spend time with us, and the viewers. By the way, I want to quick shout out to everybody watching on LinkedIn. We're also on Facebook and YouTube. And thank you for watching, and thank you for sharing and all those kinds of things. Let's bring in our guests real quick, just so you know who's here. Let's bring in Sarah, and let's bring in Ashley. Ashley and Sarah, how are both of you? Welcome to our show.
Hello. Doing great. Thanks for inviting us.
Oh, fantastic. So Ashley, you are from Brooklyn, New York. I mean, there's so many cool things in Brooklyn, New York, including J-Lo. J-Lo. Right? Jenny's in the block, right? So thank you for joining us. And Sarah's all the way over in, if anyone knows anything about Canada, if you're in Victoria, Canada, you're kind of in heaven. So
yeah, definitely.
You are so we so appreciate both of you being here with us. We will be with both of you really soon, so please stick around. We'll be right back with you. So Stephen, a couple great guests, east west. We got both coasts, Atlantic Ocean and the Pacific Ocean represented today, so we should have a good show. Hey, let's just jump real quick, and we always appreciate Doug. Howdy, good to see you. Kat, always love to see you.
In the middle of the night in Holland.
I don't know why she does that. I just love her for it.
Because she's beautiful.
She is awesome. I love that. And here's a quick there's Anthony right there. Look.
Hey, buddy, how are you? You're welcome, my friend. Really looking forward.
And look at my buddy.
Ah,
Chef Sully, good to see you. Oh, I got a message for Chef Sully. I'll send you a message, by the way. She'll love the message. I got a personal message for you, Chef, and we'll get to that in a second. Okay, Stephen, we got a great show today, and
yes.
again, everything about abundance. Anytime I see the word abundance, I'm pretty pumped about that, of course, because putting out good vibes to the world about all of that. So let's just jump right to that for your masterclass here. I love where you're going with this, and I'm so excited to see what you bring to this. Go ahead, my fine friend.
Seasonal abundance. I probably should have added some extra words to there. Seasonal abundance is about the management and interaction and engagement with people. But before we go to that, we've been doing this for 22 weeks now. And they're all of the different masterclasses, because we didn't do the first couple of shows with masterclasses. We weren't that smart back then. But these are all of the 20 masterclasses from the 20 of the 22-week shows. Now, I'm going to read out, just so you know, everything I do is unbelievably intentional. Everything, right down to the ability to do 20 weeks of masterclasses and then read out this statement. In orange is all of the titles of the masterclasses. So I'll read this out, but the orange represents each title of each masterclass for the last 20 weeks. What is your intention for serving others, everyone? The confidence of completion, Masterclass 1, are the drivers of the dignity mandates across the people states that make up the 7 decisions and the life guardians that dictate your humanity narrative. By repelling ego addiction, you become a soul shifter with a dedication to reciprocity, respect, allowing value validation of your intellectualized sentimentality. Your rationalized detachment provides cognitive alignment that breaks your opinion addiction, making eulogy living, the foundation of interruptive reasoning that drives your imperative fortitude that leads to your humanity optimization. For it is through your perceived reasoning you arrive at a place where the intuitive validation of your time leads to your seasonal abundance in life. Nothing we do on this show is not intentional, everyone. How many of you can create 20 weeks of content that you can put into a statement like that? And you know the answer? Every single one of you, if you plan and you have a mission and a purpose to value others. So let's go to this week's show. Seasonal, by definition, is the conditions, activities, expectations of a period. Abundance is of exceptional fullness, enjoyment, and supply. So seasonal abundance in the Sede land is defined as a period of exceptional fulfillment. So what are the 4 seasons? The 3 seasons, I should say. People enter your life for a reason, a season, or a lifetime. A reason could be to provide a product or service, to give advice or guidance, or to provide some type of entertainment or relief. A season is through a job or profession, through a hardship or development, or through the establishment of a friendship. And lifetimers, that's through family or marriage, through a partnership, union, or event, or through a conscious choice based on trust. Hold, Pete. My conscious choice 22 weeks ago was to ask Peter Clark to amplify my voice with the gift that he has. And little did I know that his wife, Renuka, would come on board and give us some intuitiveness with guidance that she has. So my lifetimer is my hope that Peter and Renuka will be in my life because of the conscious choice I've made based on the trust and love I have in them. Courtesy categories. If people come for a reason, season, and lifetime, they're going to enter your life either personally or professionally. So if they enter, these are what I call the courtesy categories. If someone enters your life personally, you need to give them the courtesy of sentiment. If someone enters your life professionally, you need to give them the courtesy of structure. But whether it's personal or professional, you need to give them the common courtesy of their dignity. Hold, Pete. Just this week, I've finished about 10 weeks of getting that wrong, and I've broken down some of the most important relationships in my life that have devastated me because I got it wrong. You need to have sentiment and structure and dignity. There are people categories. Entertainers that are fun, light, laughing, interacting. Educators that provide how-to instruction and guides. Relators, those people who are posting about how they're feeling and that you'll be okay. Then there's venters that provoke, provocate, and pounce. And then there's soul shifters, which is what we do. Brutal truths and breakthroughs. So what is the characteristic of a soul shifter. They have some type of conflict. They have the courage to admit it. They have the clarity that they seek as why and what do I get from it, that clarity. They have confidence because of it. And then they have creativity based upon it. Conflict, courage, clarity, confidence, and creativity are the characteristics of a soul shifter. So let's surmise all of this into 4. People will enter your life for a reason, a season, and a lifetime. People will enter personally or professionally. People will want to be treated with sentimentality or structure and with dignity in both. And they'll either enter your life as entertainers, educators, relators, venters, or shifters. So they are the categories of how people enter your life and how you interact and conduct yourself with them. Get it wrong and it's heartbreaking. So here's my questions to finish up with the Sede takeouts. Do you know who is what and why they're in your life? Which one of those categories are they? How are you sentimentally or structurally with dignity interacting with them? Number 2, do you know your courtesy categories for each person that's in your life? I certainly know mine in the context of this beautiful gentleman who helps me every week. Number 3, if I ask those around you, which would they say that you are? Do you know the relationships that you have with people based on these structured categories so you can understand how you maintain dignity with them no matter how you're interacting with them? Pete?
Wow, that is something else. I so resonate. The question number 3, it relates to something that you often talk about going out to people that you work with, people in your life, these kinds of things, and then ask them what their experience of you is, and so that they can give you some keywords for you to understand that experience. So again, question 3, if I ask those around you, the words that they use would probably amplify one of those categories, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So if people are entering personally, you need to have some sentimentality towards it. If people are actually entering your life professionally, you need to have some structure towards it. And then whether they're entering professionally or personally, you just need to have dignity, which is common courtesy. So if you master those and you understand, are these entertainers, educators, relators, venters, and shifters, you can either move towards or move back depending on your choice. And you do it with dignity, which goes back to lead me, follow me, or step aside.
Oh man, that is so good. That was epic. The beginning of that. Can I go back to that for a second? Let me just, I got to go back there just for a second because I know we have to move on along with the show here, but look at this. So there are when you send these to me so that I can put them up on the screen here, you kind of watch a flow and you kind of think about it, but then weeks come and go, and then all of a sudden you're able to put it into. I was like, come on, man, that's it.
But because everything we're doing in Sede land is to get you so anchored into who you are, and not who you are based on what personality type, even though that's applicable, not in terms of what you do and what your avatar and what your persona is. It's in those moments. Look, for example, really quickly, if you walked into the emergency ward and someone very near and dear to you was actually on the other side of the wall and the doctor came out, would you want them to just give you the verbiage of cliche? Would you want them to be able to talk and just tell you in the round? No, what's going on? Where are we at? What do I do? I've actually realized that too much of what I've been doing for too long is giving people the verbiage rather than go, if you come near me, I'm going to change your life. I just need to understand, have you got one of those 5 characteristics? Because if you do, I will help you. If you don't, I'll be an example as I pass you by.
Man, I'll tell you, that's a gift right there. What we're reading right there is a gift. And for you to be able to kind of put that into some context, for all of us to kind of, again, take it away into one thing. But any one of these subject matters that you covered in the past was just absolutely amazing. So by the way, everybody, these shows are recorded, which means you can go back and revisit those and so on. So thank you for sharing that, Stephen. That was absolutely brilliant, my friend. Now, before we jump into, the tactical part, which I always love this part, which is the whiteboard, and no one does it better than you to express that. Let me just jump into real quick a couple people watching. Michelle, always appreciate you tuning in. Super love that. Chef, good to see you. We're going to chat. I'll tell you, we got a show. We're going to do a show. Rashmi, always good to see you. And isn't Rashmi should she be sleeping right now?
No, she's in San Francisco.
Oh, she's in San Francisco. I got the geography wrong there. Okay, yeah, I'm trying. We got so many people that follow. It's so fantastic. So, Melody, love to see
Hey,
you.
Melody.
Well. Always good to see her. And this is kind of like this line from Raspberry. It'll take a few hours to understand all that you do. That's why we record it. That's why we record it.
And all the master classes come out Monday. All the tactics I do come out on Wednesday evening in Australia, morning in North America, and everything. Everyone, I haven't got time to do these slowly, but I do them very structurally. The Sede Cafe, you can ask me about them on Friday night, Saturday and stuff. What we're trying to do is make a statement of what your intention is and give you some frameworks and tools on how to do it. Because if you go down to the board, seasonal abundance, how do you manage people? The tactic in terms of how would you actually do that is what we call obstacle to intention intervention. Everything you're ever going to do in life is going to be a relationship between obstacle and intention. Everything. Absolutely everything you do is going to start with some type of obstacle and some type of intention. And people go, no, Steve, it starts with a dream. No, it doesn't. What it needs to start with is your self-awareness that my wishes are going to be confronted with the obstacle of fear. So I need to go and actually identify practitioners who can help me. It's part of the reason I want to be around the Cub guys here in the context of what I'm doing. It's part of why I want Peter to help me build the show, because I have a dream of what I want to do based on my wish. I have fears and I have doubts, but I surround myself with practitioners who will help me. From those practitioners, I create framework, because a framework gives me structure that I can bat back anxiety from. Once I execute my framework from the practitioners of the self-awareness of my wish, dream, and structure, I execute systems so I can avoid the need to be systematic about people's opinion about whether I'm doing this right or wrong. And then from my self-awareness of practice, of frameworks, of execution, I can review my process or my progress, rather than constantly review my regret, seeking other people's opinion to fuel my anxiety, to bolster my doubt, to lock down my fear and make my obstacle bigger than my intention. This area of self-awareness to wishes, practitioner of dreams, framework structures, execution of systems, and the review of process is what I call the confess zone. Have the guts to be honest enough that whatever you wish, dream, structure, system, and process will be filled with fear, doubt, anxiety, opinion, and regret. And for those of you who think you have superpowers or superhuman, stop BSing yourself, because you'll end up living in the conflict zone when you need to live in the confess zone. The moment you have a wish, you need to understand there's obstacles. So you equip yourself to go from obstacle and intention with the intervention of self-awareness, practice, framework, execution, and review, because these are the toolkits that'll make the obstacles of fear, doubt, anxiety, opinion, and regret be someone else's problem and not yours.
Okay.
I know that's quick, everyone, but
yeah, I just
but for those of you that are working with me, and Michelle and others that are and people in the cafe, people out there that are decided guests every time I do this. The gentleman from Saudi last night that I'd spoken to for the first time, I am constantly going through this process. Why do you think I can read out a paragraph that talks about the 20 masterclasses? Because I'm constantly reviewing this. And then I do have the admission to confess that I made a mistake and broke my heart and the heart of people around me, because I made a mistake in terms of how I manage people. Because I'm not going to tell you I'm superhuman, because I made a mistake, but I confessed it, got rid of the conflict, and get back into this process right now. Stop thinking you're bulletproof, because bulletproof makes you BS invincible. No, it doesn't. It makes you vulnerable.
Right. Wow. I got to tell you, let me just throw out a prop for you right now, Stephen. I think this is your best, if there's such a thing. This is
take the tactics off the screen.
Yeah, the graphic is just incredible. Like there's so much going on there, but if you literally just follow it the way you talked about it, it completely makes sense. It completely has this cycle to it as well, where I can jump back in and go back to the beginning and go through the middle part again, the self-awareness practitioner and so on. Man, that's just a lot to take in. And
the ability for me to read out 20 weeks in a paragraph is because I had a wish I wanted to do this. I had a dream based on Steve do one-to-ones in front of many. I've created a structure called Inspiring Insights. I've created a system that includes even the apartment and the way that it's set up here. And I've created a process where Peter and I don't speak during the week. We speak for a few minutes after the show, but this process and this whole show runs the way it does because of the wish, the dream, the structure, the systems, and the process, understanding the fear, the doubt, the anxiety, the opinion, and regret. So a few shows ago when the audio went off, we just unplugged the microphones and kept going. You know why? Because I'm going to confess to wanting to help you, and I don't care about the conflict of technical difficulty.
Right. Yeah, I remember that show, and that's exactly what we did. We just kind of. But I got to tell you that's why I'm leaving it up. But this is why we record these things. This is why you also post these things later on during the week for people that are connected to you. This is one right there. Just cut and paste that, everybody. Cut and paste that, and just start thinking about your process of your business life, your personal life, things that you're working on. No matter how big or small, I can see they fall into many of these categories. Love it.
Think of the seasonal abundance of every human being that enters personally and professionally, and how with self-awareness, practice, framework, execution, and review, you can confess to them your abilities and your vulnerabilities, and then watch what happens to your life.
Man, oh man, I love this one. This was fantastic. I hope everyone is getting a lot from that. And of course, what's cool about, again, this is a perfect example of it. Every one of these subject matters you touch upon one way or another in different shows under different headings. And it still comes back to that. And I love the idea that you use intention at the end, just so you know, I'm a big
obstacle and intention.
Intention. When people reach out to me, for example, it's always like, well, what's the intention here? I mean that for anything in my life. It's like, well, what's the real intention here? And if the intention is something that resonates with me, I'm in. So I love the fact that you look at everything as like, okay, it starts with something, but the intention is where we're going. I love it.
Most people think I've got a dream and I'm going to dream and I'm going to do this and I'm going to do this and I'm going to do this. The very first thing you need to be aware of is the obstacle associated with it.
Yeah. Oh, man. Boom. We needed a mic to drop right there. I'm
going to rub this off now.
Oh, I know. That's what this is the worst. This is the part of the show I don't like. I can't believe you do that. It breaks my heart every time that I see you doing that. But I know that, again, we've recorded it. And more importantly, you've put so much time and energy into it. We super appreciate that. So that's awesome. Let's jump to a couple comments here before we bring on our first guest, Stephen. And again, I just love the whole idea of the seasonal abundance. I want to remind everybody that's sort of generally the theme, but the masterclass, please go back and have a peek at that when we get rocking and rolling on that. Let's go up to a couple comments here. Michelle throws in a great, brilliant, love it. So you can't go wrong with that. I agree with you, Peter. It is incredible. That's true. It is, right? Got a big wow there. I love seeing wows. Love it. Thanks. And there you go. Need to practice it every day. And that's very true. I mean, it doesn't matter what you work on in your life. You have to kind of put the time in and practice everything. Just try to be better every day. That's what we try to talk. I know that's what I try to do anyway. Okay.
And be kind.
And be kind. Hey, that's it. Be kind.
Peter's favorite line from the show that I love to bits. Be kind or be right. Be kind, even if sometimes you have to park your right.
That's something I don't know where he got it from, but Dr. Wayne Dyer, when you have a choice between being right and being kind, choose kind. You're always right. It's all good.
Well, I got it from my buddy Pete, so where's Dr. Dwyer? But if
I say it 3 times. Well, I've heard if you say it 3 times in public, you can kind of claim it. So there you go.
There you go.
All right, let's jump to our first guest. So we got east west, and normally we go north south, east west, all that kind of stuff. I'm going to go north south today. Let's do north south. So we're going to do Canada's up, Canada here, North America. We got the States, and that's just geographical. I wasn't doing that any other way, geographically speaking. So let's go to the just so you know, it's been a tense week. Just saying.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's been a tense week from what I understand, so it's all good. All right, let's bring in our first guest, Sarah Troy. Sarah, there she is. Sarah, how are you?
I'm doing great, and you?
I'm doing great. You got a cool little setup there. You got the headphones on. It's so fantastic. Now, you're in Victoria, BC, Canada. BC, everybody, is British Columbia. It's on the far west coast of Canada. It's truly part of the world that people fly from all over the world to go and see British Columbia and specifically Victoria. So listen, we're super happy that you joined us here today. So appreciate it. I'm going to leave you with Stephen to ask your question.
Okay. Too many questions to ask, Stephen.
Oh.
And we did a lot of them on our show together.
We did. I'm looking very
graced me with
sunburnt.
2 hours, so thank you very much for that.
It was fun. We had a good time, which is cool. I look very red. I got really badly sunburned on Sunday here in Sydney.
Oh.
But what are we going to talk about?
Don't rub it in. We're in winter.
I know.
There are so many questions. That is the problem. The intention of your supposed dream, the application of it. I think sometimes we run into a problem where, we have a blueprint, we know what the intention is, we know what we want to do, but we run into the problem of the application of it, of where we go, how we start it, because sometimes it can be rather overbearing, or we just simply don't know the first step, even though the intention is right, the blueprint is right, but how do we get going on it?
Is that your question?
Mm-hmm.
So intention's over here. We'll call it progress is over here. Agree?
Mm-hmm.
Most times people have an intention. Guess what's down here? We'll play up on... Peter must be devastated now. The board's blank and all that really cool stuff I did last night has disappeared. So intention's over here, and our intention of what we're trying to get to in the context of progress. I didn't say outcome, I said progress.
Mm-hmm.
Because most people think of intention first, then the immediate thing they think of is, number 2, what do I need to do? Progress, what is progress? It's a tactic. What do I need to do? They make no mention of obstacles, because obstacles come over here as a byproduct of, I did this first thing and it didn't work. I made a video, I created a post, I went across the bar and said hello to a lady, or I tried to create a new friend at Cub, or whatever it might be. People immediately think intention to progress. They forget about the concept of obstacle. And one of the other things that they do, they have no sense of forgiveness of what they've done.
Oh.
Because the number one thing that you need to focus on here is, what is the outcome? I asked a question last night of the gentleman I spoke to in Saudi. We know that Saudi Arabia's asset to the world is oil. We know in the context of minerals, one of the big things in Australia is obviously iron ore, for example. We know one of the assets of British Columbia is the stunning landscape there, beautiful amongst many things, but I know that's what it's famous for, and it's one of my desires. I've been to so many places and I never got there. So what I asked him was, what is the number one asset that you have? And what he told me was my list, the list of all of these different medical professionals that he had. That's not his asset. It's just a collection of what he's got. When people have intention, what is the first thing that you need to focus on? Your first thing, number 1, is what is the outcome you're trying to achieve? Number 2, what are the known obstacles that you're going to have to face? Number 3, what is the structures that you need to put in place? And number 4, what's your get out clause for when it doesn't work? So the very first thing is, I've got an intention. What's my outcome? What are some of the obstacles I'm going to come up with? Then what's the progress I'm going to take? And then from that, how do I forgive myself if it doesn't work?
Mm-hmm.
And that the model I just went through in terms of tactic, you'll understand right now, if you think of the conversation we had on your show, thanks again for inviting me. If you think of everything I spoke about, it was basically this, based on all of those systems and practitioners. So let's do this. What's your intention? Who do you know that's a practitioner that's actually having a similar result to you, or someone that you admire, which has actually generated the intention? So identify someone who's actually a practitioner of what you do. Get around them. What language are they using? What are they doing? What are they doing when they stumble? Because everyone would think, if you had the Stephen DeSade show and it's all great introductions, which Peter's done and we help to do together, but Peter leads with all of that stuff, it would be easy for me to not have to admit I made a massive mistake this week. But I make it so everyone out there can understand, and I forgave myself and created a template to remind myself of what I need to do and taught you while I did it. So in your intention, who's a practitioner of what you admire? Number 2, what are some of the challenges that you know you're going to face? And those challenges are going to be personally, your own doubt, and professionally. I want to do a podcast. I haven't got the right gear. Do I think my voice sounds? All of those little simplistic things as an example while I'm doing quickly. So number 1, intention. Who's a practitioner? You can go and do what? Study. B, what are some of the obstacles personally and professionally you're going to face, and own up to them. And guess what? Go and study how they may have done that. Go and study, go and ask people. Like we said on your show, go and ask people who are starting out. Because people ask me, Steve, how do you do all of this? So I tell them, because I remember how I struggled to understand it. Your progress is based on the triangle we've done before. What's the first tactic that you need to take based on the strategies, which is the campaigns you need to do, based on the outcome you're trying to achieve, which is this bit. And this is how we coach and mentor all of this type of stuff. So what most people do is, this is where I start. I call it a funnel because I'm trying to get 10,000 views, or I'm trying to get this number of sales. Into Sede land, we build a structure which is called Inspiring Insights, which is called Soul Shifters, which is only now starting to tell soul shifters how they can invest. Michelle, for example, wants to become a Sede guest. How do I get involved, Steve? People ring up from Saudi, people ring up from different parts of the world, because we've created this brand presence that now people are starting to come, and they're coming because they want to know how can they have their outcome. Because guess what? They've studied me. Then they come along not realizing what their challenges are, and I start talking to them about outcome when their first question to me is, hey, Steve, how can you help me do marketing to get more people? I can't. My opening remark last night was I can't. Because if you don't have an outcome and you don't have an understanding of what you got, I can't help you. So intention, practice, practitioner's study. Ask yourself, what's your biggest personal and professional challenge, right? Your third thing in terms of progress, what is my outcome? What are the group of activities I need to do, which is my strategies, and what's the individual tactic? And we teach and mentor all of this stuff inside of Your Expertise Everywhere, one of the classes I've got. Then, what is your woe is me, and then wow is me trigger? Mine is sometimes dropping into Peter. I'll send, like on Sunday, I went off to a beautiful part of Sydney because I was pretty smacked in the soul about what had happened. So I took off, got a car, took off, and I went through a beautiful part of Sydney, wandering around, went about an hour north. And every now and then I sent videos to Peter. I didn't need anything from him. I just wanted him to know. He was my, I'll be okay. And the show's coming, I'll be okay. And I was wow as me, sitting on the park bench going, oh God. And then there was also wow as me, and then I made some video content for those people who saw me talk about, is the people with the 2 boats and the boathouse and the jet ski living on the canal in Pittwater, are they really happy? Ha ha. So let's do this again, and we'll do it a little slowly. Whatever your intention is, you need to max out number 1. What is your outcome? This is the very first thing that you need to understand you're doing. What is your intention? What's your outcome? Because the intention is just the vehicle to get it. Number 2, what are the obstacles personally and professionally you have? Now, I know that Ashley, for example, is very happy to be here because I love her to bits, but I also know this is a big thing for her. I know Melody, when she came on the show a few weeks ago, was almost hyperventilating because personally getting up and exposing herself in this way, said politely to a lady, is a challenge, but she was aware of it. First stage of change is awareness. Second stage of change is the courage to act. Third stage of change is to forgive yourself if you get it wrong.
Right.
Then, what's my outcome? What are the group of things I need to do? So now what is the next best thing I need to do? And if I stub my toe, what is my woe is me? Oh God, you're an idiot. What is my wow is me? And that wow is me is usually connected to someone who can help. There is a reason I sent Peter and Renuka videos just saying, hey guys, I'm walking through the forest. Hey guys, isn't this beach beautiful? It was selfish. I was sending it to Pete because I know he loves the beach, but I was actually sharing it with him because I wanted to feel that my trusted friend was around me because I needed it. Same with Graham, who I dropped the car off yesterday, and Graham came looking for me in Sydney as I was walking back because he knew I needed, I'll just drive Steve home. I need Steve to know that I care. And I appreciate it. So, and be open enough to admit to everyone that you don't get it all right, because everyone out there is struggling themselves. And the last thing they need is the Steve in the blue jacket, the fancy videos to start his shows. You won't believe it, everyone. I do everything and it's just fantastic and I'm wonderful. What do you mean you can't do a video? What's wrong with you? How good's that going to be? What is your intention based on your outcome? If you don't know what your outcome is, it won't work. Go and study people who are doing it. Have the admission of what the challenges that you're going to face are and study the practitioners. Then work out, if that's my outcome, what are the group of things I need to do? How do I set up my podcast channel? What are the types of people I want to get on it, for example? How am I going to distribute it? Who do I need to ask? In some of the things we shared after you with the videos and all that stuff that you put out, cutting it down into short form, all the things you know. Then what's the first thing I need to do? And then if I publish the video and it's private, and God knows I've done that a few times, forgive yourself. Oh, don't worry about it. The number one thing, Sarah, is you don't know what your outcome is in graphic, emotional detail, that it will break your heart if you don't get it. None of this will work.
Yeah.
I love that. I love how you kind of broke that down. Great question too, Sarah, about this idea of intention and so on. I mean, like you said, sometimes you just don't even know where to start. You don't know what the outcome. But the whole point is that there's a vision there somewhere that you have for where you want to go, and there's an intention of wanting to get there. And to your point, Stephen, I love number 4. I love the idea that you got to forgive. I've got to work on that every single day for me. Listen, if we all are kind of truthful with ourselves, is that, our worst critic is right here, right? Our worst critic is inside of our own minds. And what will people think? What will they say? And you know what? People don't even think about you anyway, and they don't. They got their own things. And as soon as we start recognizing to forgive ourselves to move forward, I think that works out really, really well. So,
Pete, I'll do this real quick. If you have a crisis in your life, and let's say, for example, you've gone to an emergency ward because sadly, or you've got an elderly parent, it's part of the journey of life. Hopefully your journey of life doesn't include emergency wards, but unfortunately it's part of life. But if you had a crisis, is your intention to actually understand what the condition of the impact of a broken leg of a child who's fallen off their bike, or what's the details of dementia in someone's head if they're actually in those potentially last days of their life? Your outcome is, what's your outcome in those? In a crisis, what's your outcome? Is it your intention? Is it your progress and tactic? Is it the things you fear? Is it you forgiving yourself? No. In that, you might go to that in terms of an elderly parent, and maybe you weren't as present as you should and those types of things. But when you find out in a crisis something's wrong, what is your, if you want to think of this as a really cool model to remind you, in a crisis, Sarah, what's the first thing you go to? Intention, progress, forgiveness, obstacle, or is it the outcome? The doctor comes out and you're sitting in the waiting room and they come towards you with whatever the circumstance is. Is it intention, progress, forgive, or outcome, or obstacle? No, please, doc, tell me where they're at. Right. Where are we at? Where are you at, everyone, in what you want to achieve? Inspired by Sarah, where are you at in what you want to achieve personally and professionally? And start living your life as if it's in crisis, because if you don't, you'll start living your life and you'll do the 5 regrets of the dying. And when you're ready to go, the crisis will be the signature of how you didn't show up.
Wow. Oh, love that. Love that, Sarah. That was a great question. I super appreciate that.
Thanks, gorgeous.
Stay with us in the green room if you can. We're going to jump. We're going to jump. That was a fantastic question and explanation. We'll be right back with you, Sarah. So we appreciate that. Yeah, that's fantastic, Stephen. I'm a big fan of trying to figure out forgiveness, and I'm talking about for me, and I think most people can kind of resonate with that. And I like you said, when sometimes you have an idea and an intention and stuff, you just don't even know sometimes what the next step is. The first step, let alone the next step, and so on. So love the
everyone. This is one sentence for everyone, because I'll get in trouble if I go on and I won't write anything. Here's my line on forgiveness, everyone. Number one, forgiveness is a commitment. It's not a feeling. And practically, living life without forgiveness is like driving a car with a handbrake on. It stinks, and eventually something's going to break.
Oh my God.
I didn't write anything. It was 2 sentences.
That, ladies and gentlemen, was painful for him.
Because I know what I'm going to write.
Just so you know, everybody, he was sitting there. I just saw his teeth. Yeah, exactly. I know. I get you. It's all cool.
I'll hold the pens and I'll feel better.
I love it. Hey, let's throw up a couple quick one-liners. Always be kind. World of Kindness Week. I didn't know that, by the way. Thank you, Melanie.
Oh, wow.
I didn't know that.
Beautiful.
Let's see. You're on. Oh, here we go. Look, what is it? You're on fire today. There you go. Best ride ever.
Best ride ever, Graham. That's Graham.
There you go. I love
nice
that.
Nice image, by the way. Free plug. Well done.
Yeah, I love that. I love how it resonates with I love that as well. So this is really cool. I love the Rashmi here talks about intention to outcome goes. through the analysis of obstacles, tactics, strategies for giving. Outcomes are the final destiny for intention. Absolutely. And again, for me, and I think other people can kind of sort of relate to that, the whole idea of forgiveness plays such a big role in there. I'll let that go. We got to talk about that another time. That's a whole show. We do. Forgiveness is just one of those things. Now, let's go from the Great Pacific, and we're going to go all the way over to New York City. I mean, if there's a hub of the world, let's face it, everybody. Come on. I mean, I'm not promoting any one city over another, but let's face it. New York City, come on. And then Brooklyn. Do you know what goes on in Brooklyn?
Everything.
Listen, Jay-Z comes from Brooklyn. Okay. Al Capone came from Brooklyn, I think. So there you go. It goes back and forth.
Ashley comes from Brooklyn. Ashley comes from Brooklyn. That's all we need to know.
Ashley goes. That's correct. That's where we're going with all of this. We have the beautiful Ashley Grace. How are you? Good to see you. I got you on mute. Are you on mute? There you go. Do we have you?
Yeah, I'm originally from Wisconsin, though, so I do have to say that I am from the Midwest. I just live in Brooklyn now, so.
You know, when you said Wisconsin, I heard. No, we're going to get you in a second. We'll get you squared up in a second. When I heard you say Wisconsin, I heard the accent.
I know. That's I
heard it.
Brooklyn is where it's at. So.
It is where it's at. Well, absolutely. Well, listen, thank you for joining us and sticking around. We appreciate it. I'm going to leave you with Steve and ask your question.
My question was...
hello.
Hello, how are you?
Hey, beautiful. How you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm so grateful you're here. Thank you. It's an honor. Question away, and I'll see if I can answer it.
My question was, how do you reach your soul's purpose to display your true intentions and amplify your creative vision?
Read it out again.
How to reach your soul's purpose to display your true intentions and amplify your creative vision.
Okay, we're going to do this a bit different. And I'm going to answer this this way. And I haven't got a spell check on my board, so I hope all that's correct. The first thing that comes to mind is you said soul's intention, right?
Yeah.
And if you think of what we said in the context of the opening tactic, we talked about masterclass and everything, but one of the things we said in terms of the obstacle to intention, the very first thing is the obstacles that are going to come in your way. From the get-go, there's so many people, and I'm running out of pens today, that from the get-go, there's so many people that actually, when they start their intention from the soul, remembering the soul is the voice of your intuition. Your heart, to me, is the voice of your instinct. When you switch off your heart, you switch off your soul. And it's as I've said, and Peter loves this one, if your mind stops working, you're in a coma, but if your heart stops working, you're in a coffin. So when people have any type of soul intention, it's their intuition. So when you say to me, how do you avoid switching off your soul intention? Well, first of all, it means you're switching off your intuition, which means you're switching off your instinct. So the very first thing, and I'm going to give up on black, the very first thing is the number one thing you need to do when you're trying to max out on your souls is forget about others, because most others have an opinion. And what other people think of you is none of your business. Then the opportunities start to come. So let's look at what's happening in Sede land right now. Some of my posts just this week are getting 23, 25, 30 views. You would think that means my business is failing. No, it's not. It's actually going up, because I'm not in the business of the vanity of views. Would I like more exposure? Yes, I would. But the thing is, what's happening around me is the opportunities that are coming, because I discovered the biggest opportunity is me. So I switched off what other people are saying. Don't care how many views. I've switched off other people's opinions. Don't care. The fact that most people's opinions are very, very satisfactory to me. So number one, Ashley, if you're with your soul intention, you've got to forget about the voice of others. And most other people's voice is opinion. And guess what that's called? Ego. You just got to forget about it. Because if your intention is going to be hit by obstacles, and you've got two choices with obstacles, it's like a dinner party. You invite them, or you ask them to leave, or you ignore them. In fact, 3. Because it's got to be 3. You know me with 1, 2, 3s. So your intentions are going to be met with obstacles before you get going. The very first thing you need to do is, who are you going to invite in? If you think of what we just said with Sarah, what practitioners are going to help you? And I know you always join the Sede Cafe, and I'm very grateful for the exchanges you have with me. Please, if I'm some form of practitioner for you, then stay close, gorgeous, please, said respectfully. The second thing is, ask those to leave. How do you ask someone to leave? You just focus and keep going. When you're walking down the road and some stranger walks by, whether it's a guy, girl, whatever it might be, and you walk by, you don't even notice them. You don't necessarily be rude to them, but you're just going about your business. Whether it's a girl, a guy, any age, you're just going about your business. So you don't ask them to leave by saying, get lost. You just make a decision to keep going. And you treat other people's obstacle of others' opinion a little bit like a stranger passing you. And meditation talks about how you let your thoughts pass you. You just let your thoughts pass. So you don't, when you ask to leave, most people think, well, I have to get into an argument. I have to get into a conversation. We had this in Sede Cafe on Saturday where we were talking about whether you're a victim or not and what you need to say. You don't need to say anything. You just need to walk down the road. Someone comes past you and it might be 2 guys holding hands. That's not my thing. I don't have anything against it. It's just not my thing. There might be someone walking down the road. You see a lot of the young girls on a Saturday night and here in Sydney, and they're half undressed. I don't think that's the right thing. I don't do anything. I just walk down the road. I don't look at it because I don't want to be misunderstood. But what I do is I don't ignore it. I just have what is my purpose? I'm not interested in looking at young girls. I'm not interested in 2 guys. I have no disrespect for what they want to do, but it's not my thing. So I just go down the road. Mutual respect for me, respect for them, do what you like. I hope you're safe. Be careful of the road. There's funny cars at the other intersection. And you ignore them. What's the best way of ignoring something? Focus. Focus on what? Not your intention, your intuition, your instinct. Why? Because you're focusing on your soul and your heart. It's your mind at the moment. Everyone listening, inspired by Ashley, it's your mind at the moment that's owning the conversation about instinct and intuition, because you're allowing others of egotistical opinion to muffle the opportunity that is you. So my view is, be aware that when you have instinct and intuition from your heart and soul, the first thing that's going to arrive is your mind giving you an obstacle. Invite in those practitioners, like you've invited me into your life and you to me. Invite those that you want in. They're called practitioners. Ask those that you don't admire to leave. How? By having a definitive sense of purpose and walk down the street without having to engage them. If you're walking down the street and there's someone who's a little bit drunk or a little bit aggressive, you see people, they walk down the street and you can see them blocking off their peripheral vision because they just want to walk by because they don't want that in their life. Ashley, stop inviting other people, switching your heart and soul off, and just ask them to leave. How? Walk down the road of life and just leave it alone. And then finally, ignore it. How do you ignore it? Focus. Focus on what? Your heart and your soul. And the opportunities of life called the Sede land, the opportunities of life called all the different beautiful things that you've encountered just in the world around me will start to unfold. And all of a sudden, these things of obstacles will start falling away. And guess what? New ones will arrive, because that's life. Peter?
Oh, that is so awesome. You know, Ashley, I just wanted to ask you a question. I thought was interesting because you're a very creative person. And I resonate with that just because I just happen to be one as well. But you use the word amplify, which I'm really sensitive to that word.
Pete's word.
That's something that I love. I use that word a lot when I describe what I do and about amplifying, other people in their messaging and their intentions and things like that. So what are you trying to amplify? I'm just curious, as a creative person, you use that very specifically, amplify. What are you trying to amplify right now? I'm just curious.
Mainly bringing deaf awareness is one of my goals. And one of my companies is just uplifting, people who have disabilities, because my mother was deaf. So it's deaf. So I just want to amplify not only her voice, but the deaf community as well. So that's one of my major passions. But I let my internal, everything kind of take my voice down, even though I need it to continue being a voice to other people. So,
right. Okay. So the intention of, again, is you're working with the idea of amplifying the idea of more awareness for people that have to go through life with hearing issues or being deaf and these kinds of things. So is the goal really to have more people just talk about it? Are you trying to raise money and funds, or it's just purely awareness and that's just part of your life?
It's multiple. One of my major things is really starting with children. So my company is to teach children art and sign language so that I can amplify and help children start communicating more within the community and actually get more adults to get more excited about it, and then continue, passing word of mouth around about the deaf community, because people forget that there are people that can't hear. So I want to continue to just show that awareness, and just, it's something I have to work on myself is, I need to sign more. I need to do those things as well. So my company forces me to be that, as well. It's a challenge for me, but also a challenge to other people.
Fantastic. Well, bravo for me, because I appreciate that as a musician. I always think there's people that really can't enjoy music the way I enjoy it and things like that. So I applaud you for your efforts on that. Stephen?
Yeah, just very quickly, Pete, you've got to, sorry about my throat today, everyone. You've got to protect your heart and soul, Ashley, and you've got to ignore others and their opinions. Because here's the kicker. This is inspired by by Ashley, for every single person who will ever see this. If your heart and soul is for the betterment of others, and in the context of this conversation, it's in the betterment of those people who can't hear. You know that thing we all take for granted, the ones of us that can? If you've got to protect the intention of your heart and soul away from others and opinions. And here's the big kicker, Ashley. What is the cost if you don't show up? What's the cost if you don't show up? Today, for example, when I said to Peter, I'm on it and I'm really up for it, I am. You know why? What's the cost in your life, Ashley, if Steve doesn't show up? After I invited you to Sede, after I invited you to be honest with me, after I held your heart and soul in my hand a few weeks ago, what is the cost if I just decide that I can't be bothered? So Ashley, protect your heart and soul. Everyone, inspired by Ashley, protect your heart and soul. Forget about others and their opinions, because what is the cost if you don't show up? To those who can't hear that need your help, to those who don't know how to sign that need your help, to those people out there that have got children and need you to help them, how do they do it? What would happen if you brought your newborn home and you landed up at home the first night and you rang the midwife and they couldn't be bothered because they didn't show up? What would that do to the crisis that's your life right now? Ashley, your heart and soul's intention is absolutely beautiful. What is the cost if you don't show up? So the next time someone's opinion makes you a little uncomfortable, makes you a little bit panicky, makes you shut down, and God knows I did that for 9 years, what's the cost on Ashley, on Michelle, on Sarah, on Doug, on Michael, on the soul shifters that are around me now? What is the cost if I don't show up? If you want to know why I'm like this, it's because I decided my heart and soul, I'm in a love affair with humanity, and I refuse to let people doubt. Because if I don't show up, they're going to doubt. So I don't care what you think about me. Someone will ring up one of these days and go, Steve, you only get 20 views on your videos. I don't care. Because I get Ashley saying, Steve, will you help my heart and soul to help other people to hear? That's more important than 10,000 views. What if you don't show up, gorgeous? What is the cost to people who are relying on you? I rely on you. You make the reality of why I do what I do true, Ashley. Why do you think I want pictures of the soul shifters in my apartment? So every day I realize the family that gives me purpose to my heart and soul's intention. Ashley, beautiful. What if you don't show up? It's not that they don't win, you lose. And people deserve you. I deserve you. Peter deserves you. Your mother and those who can't hear deserve you, because your voice will drown out other people's opinion, because your voice from heart and soul will slaughter the ego of opinion. It just slaughtered it, and they'll all run away. And there's proof in America right now. The ego is running away. Peter?
Yeah, that is something else. There's so much in there, but I super appreciate where you're going. Stay right here, Ashley, with us. I want to bring back Sarah for the end of the show here. But Stephen, again, like you said, just before you rub that off, heart and soul, heart and soul.
It is.
Soul,
Absolutely.
You know, just stay those two connection, and you know you're doing amazing work, Ashley. Just again, somehow, some way, using your creativity to amplify, you know, the challenges that other people have that we take for granted. That's admirable at any level, and you should always just feel great about that. I promise you, you're doing great work just by having that as an intention. Very powerful.
Pete, I need you, everyone, Ashley, I need you to write this down. It's one sentence, Pete. Every time I'm a stopping, who am I hurting? Every time you stop from your soulful attention, who are you hurting? Because you know what? The people who have got an opinion, the people who might say there's not enough views, the people who might say that you're not doing it right, the people that might say Pete's not doing it right, whatever, that's just their egotistical opinion. You know how I know? Because when people give opinion that's uninvited, it's not advice, it's opinion. So this is the line, and then I'll throw back to Peter because I'll get in trouble. If you stop, who gets hurt?
The deaf community.
Yeah,
the people that you love and care for, Ashley. The people you love and care for, not you, the people you love and care for. I can't stop doing to Sede now. I can't, because people like you care for me. Why? Because I sure do care for you. What if you stop? What's the cost?
I love that, Stephen. I love that, Stephen. I'm bringing Sarah in. I hope I didn't scare you there, Sarah. I just threw you back on the screen. I should have actually. I did look like I just want to make sure you're okay. Everything's okay.
I'm here.
I'm super. So, but Ashley, that was a great question, and Sarah, we so appreciate you sticking around as well.
Yes,
you know, for the end of the show here. This is one of my favorite parts of the show. But you know, it's always interesting as we have these conversations. You know, you'll pick up an aha moment from maybe your conversation with Stephen, or maybe it's something that you heard with the other guests and so on. So that's why I love to invite back the guests, just to see, you know, at the end, you know, what's resonating with them right now. So Sarah, if I could start with you, you could just share either something that stood out for you with your conversation, or maybe something you heard from Ashley, maybe an aha moment that you got from today's show.
There's a couple of things. You know, one is the forgiveness. There are so many people who are telling you you're doing it wrong, or you should do it this way or that way, and you end up doing something and it doesn't work, and it's like you start beating yourself up. You know, did I not listen right, or should I have even listened to them? And that forgiveness. You know what? I tried that avenue. It didn't work. That doesn't mean I stop, because I believe in the heart soul and the commitment. If I stop doing what I'm doing and why I'm doing it, then I'm doing a disservice to the people I represent. I do a disservice to the calling that I have. And so, yes, heart and soul in it completely. Forgive if you make a mistake. Reach out to the people that can correct it and put you back on the right path. But just keep on trying, keep on doing. And it doesn't matter if it's not perfect. The fact that you are doing it, you will perfect it along the way, and you'll invite other people to perfect it along the way. But I 100% agree that everything needs to come from the heart and soul, because if it's not heart and soul ignited, I just don't see the reason for it. It's not the truth.
Wow, love that. Yeah, it's not the truth. You're right. I love that concept of the truth. Beautifully said. Well done. And quick plug for your website where you can see all these podcasts, like one with Stephen and other shows. What's your website again? Sorry.
It's www.selfdiscoverymedia.com, selfdiscoverymedia.com. And all you have to do is just put in Stephen's name and the show will come up.
There you go. Great. I wanted to do. I'm so glad. I'm looking forward to watching that episode. Ashley, same question to you. Maybe something you might have heard today, you know, with your conversation, or maybe from through Sarah. Maybe an aha from the show today.
Everything has been like, you know, hitting home for me, especially because I allowed myself to get in my head so much to stop me in my tracks. So just that last statement, every time I stop, who am I hurting? I just think of a multitude of people who I'm hurting because I'm not using my voice to be a voice to the deaf community. So it's a constant reminder that I'm here for a reason, here for a purpose. And even if I'm doing it wrong, my intentions are good. So just continue to focus on those steps.
I love that. And you're right, Stephen. I love that question that you asked everyone to write down. It's like, if I stop, who am I hurting, or who am I affecting? and it starts at, again, heart and soul for yourself. And at the end of the day, like, again, you're here to do something. We all feel it. And if you're not doing it, that means somebody is not going to benefit from somewhere down the road. It's that ripple effect. You drop it in, you know the story, and you don't know how far it goes. So I love that, though. So Ashley, I'll just say it one more time, just because it's so near and dear to me. I would love to learn to sign. I got to get it. We got to get some of that going on, the conversations and stuff. I would love to learn to sign. I know I didn't mean to do it that way. I'm sorry. I'm not belittling it at all. It's the opposite. I just love the fact that you want to use your voice, physically and metaphorically, to make a difference.
Voice and sign language. So
voice and sign language.
Voice with a V.
Yeah.
For voice.
I love it.
Yeah.
So does that mean the voice or just voice?
Just voice. Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna so I'm gonna do that. So next week's show, if you're
from now on, it's gonna be boom.
Yeah. I love that. And Stephen, for me, you know, what I found in both questions is one of my favorite words. I have about 5 or 6 favorite words. It seems like every show I say that's my favorite word, but I do have 5 or 6 favorite words, and one of them is, no doubt in my mind, is intention. And I heard that in both questions today. About intention. And for me, I one of my favorite books is from Dr. Wayne Dyer, The Power of Intention. And for me, it always starts with a conversation like that. When anyone approaches me with anything, a business idea, a personal invite to go somewhere, whatever it is, I'm either asking myself or I ask them outright, what's the intention here? What are we doing here? And then it helps me guide my decision making, no matter what I'm doing. It's not everything, but it's everything that I do. I'm just saying that the power of intention is so much a part of everything that I do. And I resonated with both questions there, Stephen. So for me, it's like I keep asking myself, what's my intention every time I get in front of a microphone, or if I'm trying to help somebody amplify their voice or their messaging or so on. What is my intention? Is it for me? Is it my ego? Or am I really trying to use myself to be of service to somebody else? And I had that conversation with someone this morning who was basically talking to me about, keep going what you're doing, Peter, because you're amplifying. And I said, yeah, I had to get over the idea that it's not about me. And Stephen, you'll be proud of me, my friend, because I told him, I said, you know, a good friend of mine says, hey, stop thinking your life is about you. And I said, yeah, I know. That's a guy who told me that one day. So anyway, I picked up on that from everybody. So I love to see your take on this, Stephen. This is my favorite part, everybody. He always comes up with something super cool. And here it is. Boom. I knew it was going to happen.
Sarah, forgive by forgetting the advice of only those you admire. So take the advice of only those you admire. Perfection is fear in fancy dress.
Like that.
It's just fear in fancy dress. People actually go, well, you know, I'm not a fearful person, but unless it's done exactly right, I'm not going to do it. Perfection is fear in fancy dress. And the biggest thing of all is heart and soul truths.
Absolutely.
Biggest thing of all. Beautiful. Thank you for that. Ashley, your head hurts because it's the mute button of your heart and soul. Your life is not about you. What sits just below your life is not about you is, what's the cost if you don't show up? What's the cost to the purpose that you have? So your head hurts. It's the mute button of your heart and soul. And guess what? Most other people's opinion is coming from their mind and their head. So they've muted their heart and soul, and they're trying to do it to you. Peter, intent is your ability to manage the journey and relationship between conflict and obstacle. My definition, the Sede definition of intent, is your ability to manage the journey and relationship between conflict and obstacle. Serve others always. And remember, the first other is you. So forgive by forgetting. Your head hurts because it's muting your heart and soul. Intent is your ability to manage the conflict and obstacle relationship in your life. Heart and soul truths are where the game of life is played. The game of life is not about you, and you need to serve others, starting with yourself first. The only time you need to be selfish is when you care for you first, under the simple excuse of, I'm only looking after myself because I'm in desperate need of looking after you. I am in a love affair with humanity, every single one of you. And I've learnt in the last 9 years, and especially in the last week, if I don't learn how to love and look after me, Graham, I won't be able to do this properly. And I've just found out that the first other I need to serve is me. And Graham's coming on the Sede Cafe to give you some background as to what it's like to hang out with Steve. Hey, done.
I love it. I love it. And I'm looking forward to that for that cafe. I'm looking forward to that. And Stephen will throw out a little bit of tidbits about how people can get involved with that.
Yep.
Thank you for mentioning that. The first other is you. I like that. You know, the idea.
Is.
You know, it's in the world of 2020 that we're talking about all the time. Is that, listen, it's never about you. It's about you protecting other people. It's about you being aware of other people and so on. But sometimes the other person happens to be you first. You have to take care of yourself. It's like being on a plane. They always say, put your mask on first before you try to help somebody else. I mean, that's the messaging here, is that we take care of ourselves so that we can be of service to somebody else. And I just love that. That was super cool. Everybody, of course, take a screenshot of that. And of course, you can always watch this again on the show. To my beautiful guest, look at Ashley. I just put you up on the big screen just to rock and roll. I just wanted to put you, look, front and center so the whole world can see that this lady is using her voice physically and metaphorically to do some great work out there. So I so appreciate you doing that. I really, really do. So good, best of luck with that. And Sarah, always a pleasure. We've been connecting a little bit online and so on. I follow what you do, and I hope people will go out and check out your conversation with Stephen. And we so appreciate you being here as well. Okay, so thanks to both of our guests. We super appreciate you guys being here. We super appreciate that. Stephen, that was fantastic, man. You were on fire. You were on fire. You were on fire, my friend, and I appreciate that. I always do. So let's just jump. We have a whole bunch of comments here before we end up the show. Everybody, thank you for your comments and so on. It's I'm trying to. For me, I see the comments coming in. I'm thinking, I don't want to disrupt the flow of the. I want us to kind of, keep going through what Stephen's sharing with us right here. So I love that. So here's an awesome question, Sarah. There you go. There's a shout out. I love this. Plan your work and work your plan. Chef Sully, she knows. Last week we chatted about that, right? She always thinks she's just cooking, but she's changing hearts and souls and minds with her gift of cooking and sharing that love for food. So I love that. In a mood indeed. Doug picked up on it. He's in a mood. Absolutely. I love this. Great knowledge. Hello from Brookfield, Brisbane. Hey.
Oh, hello.
Boom.
Brookfield, Brisbane. Hey, buddy. How you doing?
Yeah, I don't know where is that from you, Stephen? Is that from Brisbane? Yeah, I know where Brisbane.
It's in Queensland. Yeah, Queensland.
It's like a 2-hour plane ride. I went there. I flew from Sydney to Brisbane one time to go up to Fraser Island. That's as close as I got to you before. So I know that part of the world. It's all good.
Thanks, buddy.
Here's another shout out so that Ashley knows the work is being done. And Doug says, being hard of hearing, the heart certainly goes out for this objective. So there you go. That should give you some confidence as well that we have that. We have a couple more quick comments here. I love this. I love this again. Just a reminder, if not you, then who? And that's so true, right? Stepping up and doing those things. Here's another one for you, Kat, from Kat. Thank you, Kat. Thanks, Ashley. Great question. And thank you for what you're doing. So, hey, listen, I mean, when you're getting comments like that back, you're on the right track for what you're doing. So thank you, everybody who has been watching on LinkedIn, Facebook, and YouTube. We appreciate that. Another great show, Stephen. Talk about quickly. You mentioned the cafe. I don't have a graphic right this second, but you talk about.
No, I didn't send you one this week. So
that's okay.
Just every Friday evening in North America, late Friday, just before. So it's 6 p.m. New York, 11 p.m. London time, and 10 a.m. in Sydney. We just do a Zoom call where I just jump on a Zoom call. There's no vertical whiteboards, but I do actually do something. Last week it was about growth mindset, which will probably turn into a masterclass because it was pretty cool. This week I'm going to talk about how do you do communicating over content creating, because too many people are creating content, not a lot of people are communicating. So this week, I'm going to do a little section of the. We're together for about 90 minutes. It's just having a coffee. I'm just sitting here. It looks like this, but I'm a little bit more casually dressed. And we just have conversations. People tell me about their week. They ask whatever they want. Have some pretty profound conversations. It's not coaching, but if I want to go off on one with someone, I will. If someone asks me something and I feel in the mood to answer, I will. If people come along thinking it's a free coaching session with Steve, then that's not what it is. And no one does, which is cool. But this week, the theme of this week's show is how do you communicate and not content create?
I wish, and again, we talked about this conflict-wise, for timing-wise. For me, as a content creator and as someone who likes to communicate, that this is going to be a fantastic cafe for anybody. Maybe this is a subject matter we can talk about in another show. Maybe we'll do it on a show on LinkedIn or something like that, because you're absolutely right. The ability to, to have one of these, everyone has one of these, they can create content. There's a big difference between communicating and creating content. It's so big. It's
massive.
Anyway, you have the,
and even the growth mindset that I did. It's like, growth mindset. I've heard that all before. Not the way we did it.
Right.
Not the way we did it. And then obviously I take a section and I voice over some slides and put it up into Soul Shifters. So not only do you get to hang out and have a chat, tell me what you're doing, ask me anything you want to ask me and all that kind of stuff. Anything I do inside there, we don't record the whole thing, but I actually do a voiceover of some slides. So the actual toolkit of how you do lasting legacy living. How do you write a eulogy that you can actually post 50 years from now but live today? We did that 2 weeks ago. How do you actually do growth mindset? We did last week. And how you do communicate versus content creating, we're doing this week. The following week we're doing what's the difference between leadership and followship. Everyone's trying to teach everyone how to be a leader. No one's teaching anyone how to be a follower.
Oh gosh, the cafe sounds like shows. I mean, come on. Anyway, enough said. I don't want you to get on your whiteboard.
No, I'm not touching. See, look, like every now and then I hold the pens just to make myself feel good.
All I just say one word.
I haven't done anything.
Word. And he wants to go to the.
No, I don't. The board's still full. I haven't rubbed anything off. I'm standing here.
Hey, I'm just pushing some buttons here, buddy. That's all. Thanks, everybody, for watching. Yeah. Thanks to our guest, Sarah, Ashley. We so appreciate you, and everybody who left comments and also private message to everyone who sends me sometimes private messages of encouragement and so on. Super appreciate that. And hey, everybody, you know what? Like we end up all the time. I love what you say, Stephen, but for me, it's like everybody be kind out there. And Stephen,
be well and be brilliant, everyone. We'll see you next week.
Absolutely. See you, everybody. Thanks.